Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I have never had any kind of a hassle after I've worked a money spell and gotten what I demanded. Okay, that has never been my experience. But I own my magic. You know, if I do it, I claim it. I feel like I deserve the money. The gods have an unlimited checking account. They'd love to cut you a check, but they ain't going to do it unless you ask for it. Okay. Now, the other thing is, you know, so I've never had that happen. Karma is not even a Western concept. It's an Eastern concept. And I think what you're probably talking about is the law of three as opposed to karma. Are you Wiccan? Okay, so you're probably talking about the law of three. And sometimes when people teach this, they kind of confuse the two.
We're eclectic, so we pull from a lot.
Okay. You know what the Eastern cultures think the good karma is? It's the bad shit that happens to you. Because you wouldn't understand the good shit if you didn't have the bad shit. And so I'm not kidding. That's exactly what they consider good karma to be. So, you know, there is also no God up there that hands out karma cookies. You do it to yourself. If you feel good about something you do, you get good stuff back. If you feel guilty about something you do, you get bad stuff back. Okay? So you're the one that does it. I don't think you ought to do anything that you're not comfortable with. But here's something else to think about. The gods, you were born into this world with certain talents, with the ability to gain certain knowledge. You get that from the gods. They give you those opportunities. If you have that knowledge and you don't use it to make a living and better your life, isn't that a little bit like slapping the gods in the face and saying your gifts aren't good enough? So I don't know if I'd be scared of that or scared of a karma kid. You know, so it's just, and I'm not making fun of you, it's just something to ponder, okay? And we can always agree to disagree. I got no problem with that either. That said, I am going to give you some little advice about just tiny things you can do in your home to draw money in. Things that I don't think are going to bother anybody. How many of you keep the lids of your toilets down? Okay? If you don't, start it. Now, and it's something that is not real easy to get used to if you're not used to that, because it took me forever to get used to that. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't, both your health and your money runs down the drain. You'll be surprised once you start keeping that lid down, how much money stays in your house as opposed to being vacuumed out. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Well, and feng shui we'll probably touch on that some too. It has to do with the energy that flows through your house and how to make it flow properly. So that's one of those things you can do. Also, how many of you, I want you to think how your bedroom's arranged. Because I said something about health, so we're just going to go there for a second. How many of you sleep with your feet toward a door? You need to rearrange things. Either that or put a mirror on that door. And the reason for that is because you're fleshing your health. Yeah.
Does it matter if it's an interior door or do you mean an exterior door?
I mean an interior door. Any kind of door in that bedroom. If it's a closet door, it's anything. A bathroom door, especially if it's a bathroom door, good God, okay? But, yeah.
On the wall, Jason, if your feet are facing at the wall, it's to the right.
If your feet are facing that wall, put a mirror on that door. It can be a little tiny mirror above it. It could be a wall mirror. It doesn't matter, okay? But put a mirror on that door to deflect that energy so you keep your health. And I think you'll start feeling a lot better. And you'll probably rest better too. Because it'll deflect that energy in the house and make it go like it's supposed to.
If you keep the door open, can you put a mirror
Yes. Yep. You know, I had a house arranged like that. My feet were toward the bathroom door. And so I really was going to make a concerted effort to keep that door shut. And I just put like a wall mirror, full-length mirror on it. I mean, what was it, a couple bucks at Walmart or whatever. The problem is I'm old now, and that means my bladder doesn't last long, and so I have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And the first time I walked into that door in the middle of the night, I was pissed, and that was the end of that shit. So there was a little mirror up there, yes, yeah, you know, yeah. So you know, I'm clumsy and I avoid problems. So yeah, that'll work just fine. How many of you have ever seen the little frogs with the coin in their mouth? Little feng shui frogs, okay? Those are excellent. And then these little statue things I'm going to talk about, they don't have to be large. I mean, these can be teeny tiny, okay? So they don't have to be expensive. When you use one of these frogs, to start with, you can have 9. I've been told that you can have up to 9 of these, but you should never have more than 9. Now, I'm not sure what the hell's going to happen to you if you have more than 9 on your property, but, you know, apparently you're only supposed to have, you know, up to 9. Make sure that the ass of the frog is facing your doors. Facing your door? Yes. Because any door, okay? You know, if you put them in different rooms, make sure the ass always faces the door. The reason for that is they got a coin in their mouth, folks. If you face them toward the door, your money is running out. Okay? So if you face them, some people put them outside on their property. If you do that, then point the mouth of the frog toward the door if you've got them outside. Like if they're like garden decorations or something, then do it that way. But otherwise, ass to the door always with the frogs. There's also, how many of you have ever seen the lucky cat? The little cat whose little arm does this number? Okay, her name is Mila Yiki. And it used to be that the Asian cultures, their symbol of prosperity was a giant penis. And you would see that in the windows everywhere from the dime store to the whorehouse. And the Westerners came over and said, man, y'all can't use that, that's nasty. So they changed that. And now they have Miliyiki. And the reason her little paw is up like this is because she catches money as it comes by. So Miliyiki should always face out your windows. Now, I have several Miliyikis in my living space, and they're about 1 inch tall. And I have one facing out every window, okay? And she does, so she catches money as that goes by. You know, and these little things, my God, you can get them on, in fact, people may be selling them here, but they're really, really inexpensive. So that's something to think about. How many of you ladies, well actually, all of you, you know, if you go to, say, an Asian restaurant, or you ladies go to get your nails done, you seen the little Buddha at the front door? Okay, and they're always giving that little fat happy guy, you know, oranges and coffee and incense and all that shit. That's Hotai. Hotai is strictly associated with money. The Asians, I love the Asians because they are the only culture who have a god that is strictly designated to cash. None of the rest of us do. Cash is revered there. In fact, if you drop money on the ground and the wind starts to blow it, it's paper money, and you run over and you stomp on it, that is an offense punishable by law. Okay? You don't step on money. Money's a good thing. Ladies, how many of you have your purses on the floor? Get them up. Okay? Do you want your money to run out? The floor is lower than whale shit. Ladies, your whole life is in that bag. Okay? You keep that purse off the floor, and you're going to be surprised how much money comes into it and how much less flows out. Okay, so you know, this is something really interesting. Hotai, I've seen him in several different positions, but usually he has his little hands up in the air and he's all excited. But he's always standing on a pile of money. With Hotai, you always keep him clean, rub his little head and his little belly. And you talk to him and he will bring you money. So, Hotai always needs to face the front door. I have a little Hotai statue. And believe it or not, in the Asian culture, red is the symbol not only for is the color not only for good fortune, but for cash. Okay. For us, it's green because our paper money is usually green. Okay, but theirs is red. So my hotai's red, faces the front door. My husband's company moves us a lot. And so we lived at this one place for about a year, and I had this little table in our living room, but I had hotai on him, and he still faced the front door. It was okay. We moved to another place, and I had hotai on him, on the table, but hotai had to face to the side to hit that front door. So my husband actually likes to clean. It's how he unwinds, and thank God, because I am a slob. I go off on one of these events. I come back home, and hotai has been turned around. And so, you know, when a man cleans and he does windows and toilets and all that shit, you don't open your mouth. You let him do it. I never said a word. I turned hotai back around. This goes on for about a year and a half. One day, Mark says, I come home, Mark says, and back then I was on the road 6 or 7 months out of the year. So one day Mark says, honey, I just got to know. Because Mark has dealt with a lot of interesting things being married to me. You know, toothbrushes that go off in the middle of the night and go dancing across the counter and all this stuff. Yeah. He says, I got to know. Are you turning that damn statue around, or is it doing it itself? Well, you know, I really wanted to fuck with him. I once had him believing that possums bred through their noses, okay? And I really wanted to screw with him, but I just couldn't do it at that point. And I said, no, baby, I'm turning it around myself when I come home. And this is why I'm doing it. Because, you know, hotai brings money in the front door. So, all of a sudden, my husband and hotai formed a great relationship. He would dust him, and he'd rub his little head and his little belly, and he would find $10 at the car wash. He'd go to wash his truck, be a $10 bill laying there, okay? You know, and you know, he and the dog would go out for a walk, but he'd find money. And so I would tell him, you always thank hotai, you know. I'd tell him thank you. So one day, Mark said, you know, I haven't found any money in a long time. And I said, when's the last time you took hotai on a field trip? And he went, what? And I said, maybe hotai needs some sunshine. I said, you know, if I were you, I'd wash him down real good and put him out in the sun to dry and have a little conversation with him and see what happens. By God, didn't Mark find a $50 bill? You know, so you know, but that's another way to draw money into your home. How many of you know about Ganesha? Ganesha is the little elephant-headed god. Okay. How many of you have ever worked with Ganesha? What did you do, baby?
I was having difficulty trying to solve the issue in a way.
Okay. I love Ganesha. He is an infant god. So this means you don't have to be reverent. You just have to tell him to get on the stick and get with the program. What I usually do with him, Ganesha is the god who removes all obstacles. Any sort of impossibility, you take it to him. How many of you know the story of Ganesha? Okay? Tell him.
His mother, Dorothy, wanted a child. He was not born yet, so she charged her husband. She created him. And he was to guard her while she bathed. And her father, he was born with the head of a man, the body of a man. And his father, one day, was trying to get him to provide these bathhouse. He was so enraged because Ganesha was charged by his mother not to let him on. So he cut off Ganesha's head. And Dorothy was so upset that she forced her husband to go to her and find a new influence. The first time he saw it was no one.
Yes, yes. And this is why, okay, for those of you who didn't hear this, okay, this child, this godchild, had a human head, but his head was cut off, and his mother was so upset that she forced his father to go find a new head for him. And the first head he found was an elephant. And so this is why this baby has an elephant head. Now, this is also why Ganesha handles the removal of all obstacles. Because by God, you lose your head. That's quite an obstacle to overcome, folks, okay? So, one of the things I do with Ganesha is I give him 9 quarters. He's a baby. He likes shiny shit, okay? And so I stack up 9 quarters and I write down exactly what I want him to do for me. And I'm not reverent about this at all. I just tell him, get it done. In fact, he's probably responsible for the fact that my ex-husband is walking around breathing today, because he pulled a stunt with my vehicle after we got divorced, and I needed to pay it off, and he had the payment booklet, and I couldn't get another payment booklet from the bank. It was a clusterfuck. And so when my new husband came home, I was packing a bag, and we were living in Missouri, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm driving to California." And he went, "What?" And I said, "Yep, I'm driving to California, and I'm going to dump this goddamn Jeep in his yard, throw a Molotov cocktail in it, and leave." I said, "I'm done." He said, "Honey, don't you think maybe there's a better way to handle this?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm tired. But I will just burn the son of a bitch up. I'm done." Okay, so I've got a temper. I'm slow to anger, but once I'm done, I'm finished, okay? So I think about this for a few minutes, and I go and I have this chat with Ganesh, and I tell him he just got to fix this. Within 48 hours, it was all straightened out. Not only that, I had the ex-husband's name off the title. Okay? It was all good. So what I do with those 9 quarters, though, is a lot of times I will just keep a bowl in front of my Ganesha statue, and Ganesha will do work for me over a period of time until this bowl gets full of quarters. I use 9 of them each time because 9 is the number that's associated with wishes. Okay? I do something service-oriented with this. And you have to do something service-oriented. Now, that covers a multitude of things. You might give it to, you might drop it in the Humane Society box. You might give it to Jerry's kids. Sometimes I actually give it to the neighborhood kids when I hear the ice cream truck coming. And I feel like that's service-oriented, and because, their mamas have already sent them outside to play because they're being driven crazy by their children. And if you give them ice cream, that's good because that keeps them out of the house a few more minutes. So, I tend to do that, but always do something service-oriented with it. What does this have to do with money? One of the service-oriented things you can do with the Ganesh money is go to a crossroads and toss the money in 4 directions. And as people pick it up and spend it, it starts coming back to you. Now, you can actually drive through an intersection and just toss it out the window. But when we left Maine, Mark's company was moving us to Northern Virginia, and we had packers and movers coming. Packers one day, movers the next. And I suddenly realized that my office was next on their list, and I had this bowl of quarters that I was going to have to do something with before they got in my office. So I grabbed this money, and it was the middle of April, and we still had 6 inches of snow in our yard. And the nearest crossroads, the nearest intersection, we're out in the country, was 2 miles away. I didn't have time for that. And so our driveway teed in the road, and so there was an empty field this way, so I just stood in the middle of the road. I made my own damn crossroads, and I started tossing quarters. And I'm done, and it's good. The next day, we're sitting on the retaining wall watching the stuff come out of the house. The mover's loading it on the truck. My husband says to me, "Honey, you're never going to believe what I found in the yard." And I said, "What?" He said, "I found $2.25. And he said, he says, "Every time I look down, there's another quarter." And I said, "Mark, quit doing that." I said, "Don't pick up any more goddamn money." And so I'm explaining this to him, and he went, "Well, I guess you're getting it back, aren't you? You said it was a money spill. You wanted the money back. I guess we're getting it back, right?" So, but it really, really does work. Are you feeling a little better about money now? Okay.